So it's here. It's finally here. Alpha 317. There's a lot of things happening in Alpha 317. A lot of things got updated, a lot of things got fixed, a lot of things got patched up. And overall, once you kind of go through the login, get everything, get your character online, and then immediately quit the game and then log back in, the game runs fairly smoothly. But for best results, of course, you have to bail out of most of the early landing zones, or the landing zones that they forced you to pick, to go to the only landing zone that's actually worthwhile, which is Grim Hex. And that seems to kind of start your game in a winning position. The other landing sites, I've never liked them. Far too convoluted to get to your ship, too time consuming. Just not a big fan, really. But I do have to say, talking about Lauraville, we're going to circle back to that in a little while. There was an important update to Lauraville. There was a cool update to Lauraville, which I knew about, but I guess I had kind of forgotten about it. And then when I left Lauraville, I went, oh my God, that's right. But this is perhaps the singular most important feature in 317. The pièce de résistance, the cherry on top. The ability to request a friggin' landing via a keybind. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You might think I'm memeing. You might think I'm making a joke. You know, I'm just, having fun at CIG's expense. No, this is a big thing. This is legit a big thing. Because if you think about it, you come to a landing site where the armistice zone is maybe not entirely an armistice zone, or there may be some dangers like accidentally putting a little too much vertical thrust on your ship, but there may be people waiting for you outside of a landing site, and you may not have the time to go through the menus and request a landing. You may not have the time to do that. You just need to get your ship in and get it landed. And having it as a keybind is absolutely brilliant. Long overdue, finally here, love it. Absolutely love it. Now, of course, other things, other apps have changed. There have been some updates, repair. Guess we need a little bit of one. All these things have seen some revision, and a lot of them, I would honestly say, have improved. I feel that some people are still going to look at interactions with store panels and whatnot as being too long, too slow, but I don't think that that's a reflection of how CIG wants it to be. I think that's more of a reflection of server performance, to be honest. That's just one of these things, It's kind of like when you're walking through your ship and the doors don't open as you're getting there. It's like you have to walk up to a door and stand there for like half a second, and then the door opens. I think this is a reflection of the same back-end problems that the game has always had. So I think that once those menus, or once the server or servers, and whatever code is kind of causing the issue are solved, whatever these problems are, then you're going to find that even the system right now is probably going to be a lot crisper if they could kind of get that dialed in. But for piracy, of course, there is something to talk about. Well, I mean, auto-requesting a landing is a great thing if you're trying to get into Grim Hex without giving anybody else the opportunity to shoot you down. But another big thing, of course, ship-related, we got to look at it, and we got to talk about it, is all the internal images we've gotten recently of the work-in-progress Drake Corsair. Now, of course, cockpit view, first things first. All important, very critical. Can you see outside of your ship? This seems to be more of just a quickly posing the camera behind the console to snap a picture type view. Obviously, this is not what it is exactly going to look like, but I think what is more informative is how obstructed the cockpit view is by struts and things like that, or extraneous panels hanging off of things. And it doesn't look to be that bad. In fact, it looks to be quite good. It reminds me a little bit of the Buccaneers cockpit. A little bit of that, a little bit of the Herald's cockpit as well, and both of which are excellent cockpits. So to see this kind of continuing on with that excellent Drake cockpit heritage is fantastic. It's something to definitely applaud. Now, the cockpit, what it looks like for the players, you might look at that second seat and say, "Oh, well, that doesn't really make a lot of sense. You won't be able to see anything from the co-pilot seat, and it doesn't really have any controls." But remember, now I know some of you are like, "Oh, dude, I already know what that's all about." But remember, it's just with a lot of people, sometimes they don't get to see everything. They don't understand. So someone might look at this as a work in progress and say, "Oh, they'll put in the controls later," or something like that. What this actually is, the secondary seat, this is just where you get into the seat, but this is not where the seat sits. Now, if you look at the secondary graphic down below, you can see how it's supposed to sweep down underneath the pilot and operate, or be operated from that secondary window. Now, also in that image is the control panels that you would ordinarily associate with going in that seat. But in looking at these images, I kind of think that CIG realized that having the control panels there severely limited how they could navigate through the geometry to get down underneath the pilot. So I have a feeling that that chair is actually going to mate up with its control panels down below now. And so it's no longer going to be sitting there that way. I mean, I might be proven wrong, but this is kind of where I feel that they're going, is that you're actually going to mate up with your controls down underneath. Now you might be thinking, well, yeah, I mean, a number of places have co-pilot chairs. Why does this person need to sit up front? And remember that with a ship like the Corsair, the co-pilot can operate the guns. You will be able to move into a gunner mode. So while one person's flying the ship, the other person can be targeting very exactly with gimbaled weapons. And that can yield some interesting gameplay possibilities when you think about the sheer amount of firepower that the Corsair has. If you look at this secondary image right here, you can see this seat from the back, and now you can see that, this is just kind of when you're kind of Minecrafting things out. For those of you who remember, if you play Minecraft or if ever played Minecraft, you might design a base in your imagination, then go to really build that base, and then find that not everything fits exactly the way you had imagined it to. This is one of those types of problem. This is just Minecraft architecture. And that's where I kind of look at it and say, no, you're definitely going to mate up with your controls underneath. And it's no longer going to be where it is or where it's shown in these images right now. That's kind of where I think the smart money is. Now, the rest of the images that kind of came from the subscriber vault were run-of-the-mill white box stuff. We've seen this before. I mean, it looks good. It looks like a Drake ship. It would be not unreasonable to say, yeah, they could probably, hop, skip, and jump over a few steps just because it's another Drake ship and they do so well with them. And I'm not making a joke. They do very well, and they do kind of punch these Drake ships out fairly quickly. So, I mean, Corsair in October, kind of a question mark. Remember, 317 just came out, and we don't even have the Scorpius, right? And the Scorpius was kind of like the big ticket one on this, but it was like, no, we got to get the hull A done. We got to get the players don't have a cargo ship. I mean, come on. Yeah, I was kind of disappointed in that prioritization, but yep, the hull A is there, and I guess it does exhibit a new mechanic with its like telescoping body, so whatever. I won't be flying it. I'll be pointing guns at it, if anything. But yeah, we don't even have the Scorpius, right? And next up, we're getting the Vulture. Now you might say, well, they're not doing that much compared to all the other ships that they've done. Well, remember, they're still doing a gold standard thing with assets that are shared between, ships that are shared between Squadron 42 and Star Citizen. So that is going to eat up some work. And if something pops up that needs to be done, guess who gets the boot? It's Star Citizen, right? They also have to, they have to do the Vulture, and there's got to be at least 1 or 2 flight-ready ships that they're working on right now. We got a big sale coming up at the end of June. There's got to be something for that, if not a couple of somethings. And of course, there's probably got to be something for CitizenCon. I would love to see the Corsair at CitizenCon. I truly, truly, truly would. And if CIG could make that happen, I might even buy a camo for it as well. As long as it matches the Pirate Caterpillar camo. Please, CIG, please. But guaranteed? I don't know. I really don't, because in a weird way, I think if you've been watching the CIG's kind of video coverage of what they're doing, in a way, they are sort of more open with things, but in the places where we could kind of sit there and go, oh, look at this and look at that and look at these two things going together, we can start to actually kind of draw some intel and kind of go like, oh, this is where it's going, or oh, this is still moving ahead. But lately, especially with the drawback as well on the on the roadmap, it's getting a lot harder to kind of infer what CIG is trying to do, right? It's getting a lot harder to read into those things. So I don't know. We might be in for some big surprises at CitizenCon. But I would just settle for a nice video showing us Pyro, and with maybe, please, maybe Pyro, if it works in 2022. Less landing sites. Maybe it'll be easier on the servers. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what's coming up. But it all looks pretty damn cool. And, fingers crossed. Let's see what happens.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.